Welcome once again to the world of survival horror. In this video, we will go over how ranged weapon attacks work during the game. Our characters, Jenny Lee and Matthew White, took a wrong turn and have managed to get themselves cornered by zombies. When a combat begins, the game master will ask the players to roll initiative for their character. The rules for this can be found on page 25 of the complete rulebook. Basically, each character performs a skill check based on the stat that is most applicable to when the combat begins. In this situation, Jenny and Matthew have been running away from the zombies, and everyone involved was already aware of the other's presence. So in this case, we will make each creature roll an agility skill check to determine their initiative. Jenny scores highest. After every creature in the combat has rolled for their initiative, the game master should record their scores and then begin the first combat round. The character who scored the highest gets to act first, followed by the second highest score, and then the next, and so on, until everyone has had a turn. In this instance, Jenny scored the highest, and so it will be her turn first. Each character during their turn gets 3 actions. For a full list on what you can do with your actions, see section 4, Combat, on page 25 of the complete rulebook. For her first action, Jenny Lee would like to attack. This costs 1 action to attempt. Jenny currently has 2 weapons in her inventory, a Beretta M92FS handgun and a Benelli M3S shotgun. For this first attack, Jenny is going to use her handgun. She now selects a target for the attack. In this case, she's going to shoot at the zombie sheriff, since she can see him clearly. Next, we must determine the range between them and ensure that the weapon is capable of attacking targets within that range. On this tabletop, Jenny is at 5 inches or 25 feet of the target within the game world. Checking the Beretta's short range modifiers, we can see that it can be used at short range and it applies no modifier to the attack. With this determined, Jenny's player now rolls a d20. She scores a 14. Now she would apply any relevant modifiers such as cover or weather effects, but for this attack there is only one modifier that matters. Jenny's firearm stat modifier of -1. She isn't the most accurate shot in the world. This means we reduce the score she rolled on the dice by 1, making a total value of 13. A zombie's ranged defense value is 9, which means that as Jenny has scored equal or higher than 9, she has successfully hit her target. She must now roll damage for the weapon. The Beretta inflicts 1d6 piercing damage to a target when it hits, so Jenny's player now rolls a d6. She has scored a 6. The zombie suffers this damage, and since it has no damage reductions, it reduces its current HP down to 1 point. If an attack ever brings a creature down to 0 HP or less, it falls unconscious and becomes prone. For characters, this means they are helpless and enter a dying state. For most monsters, this usually means that they are dead outright. Bear in mind that zombies do have a special trait listed in their profile called reanimation, but for the sake of this video, let's ignore that for now. If Jenny were to attack the zombie at medium range, up to 60 feet away, she would need to apply the medium range modifier for her weapon to the attack, which is -1. If Jenny were to attack the zombie at long range, up to 120 feet away, she would need to apply the long range modifier of -4 instead. Remember that each weapon in the game has its own range modifiers that apply, and some weapons can't be used at certain ranges at all. Nevertheless, you can see that the Beretta handgun is easier to use at closer range. Jenny uses her second action to attack the zombie at medium range. She chooses to fire the Beretta again, applying a -4 modifier to her firearm stat value, a second -1 modifier for shooting at medium range, and an additional -4 modifier for it being her second attack during the same turn. This last modifier is known as the multiple attack penalty and is explained on page 28 of the rulebook. This means that whatever number she rolls, she will need to reduce the score by a total of 6. Luckily for her, she has rolled a natural 20. Under the rules on page 27 of the book, we can see that any attack roll of a natural 20 automatically counts as a successful hit, regardless of modifiers or defense values. What's more, there is a chance that Jenny has scored a critical hit. To find out, Jenny must roll the attack a second time. She needs to score a successful hit again in order to confirm the critical hit. This time, Jenny rolls a 3. Applying the relevant modifiers for the attack again reduces the score by 6. Clearly, she is nowhere near scoring the 9 she needs to hit the zombie's ranged defense value. As such, she has failed to confirm the critical hit, but the natural 20 still means that the attack was successful. She applies 1d6 piercing damage to the zombie. Let's pretend all of these zombies were already low on HP, and so this one collapses too. Just be aware that in reality, zombies are usually tougher to take down than this. Now let's see what happens if Jenny tries to attack the zombie next to Matthew. However, this can be dangerous when a target is so close to an ally. Since they are next to each other, Matthew and the zombie are said to be engaged in combat with one another. This means that the zombie gains the effect of partial cover, applying a -2 modifier to her shot, and even worse, should Jenny miss with her attack, she will accidentally hit Matthew instead. The rules for shooting into close combat like this can be found on page 33. Note that this rule only applies for ranged weapon attacks. Melee attacks ignore this rule. Considering this would be Jenny's 3rd attack of the round, and she would suffer a total -11 modifier to the attack roll, her player decides that attacking would be too dangerous in this instance. Next is the zombie's turn. It tries to bite Matthew during its turn, and successfully inflicts enough damage to deplete his HP to 0. Matthew falls unconscious and enters a dying state. Eventually, a new combat round begins, and it's Jenny's turn again. She realizes she needs to do her best to save Matthew before it's too late. As such, she switches to her shotgun. Remember that any attack targeting the zombie will not count as shooting into close combat, as Matthew is now prone. As such, Jenny fires her shotgun from close range. For the Benelli, this is a +4 modifier. The attack successfully hits, and so Jenny rolls a d12 to determine the weapon's piercing damage. The shotgun easily inflicts enough damage to drop the zombie. Jenny spends an action to approach her ally, but it seems Matthew's in critical condition. Jenny is a nurse and good at healing, so she still might be able to save his life. However, that last zombie is bearing down on her fast. Jenny spends her last action of the turn to pump the shotgun and face this threat. Who knows what will happen next in the world of survival horror?